scared of the future, and I hate my past. Present hurts too much, but I know it won't last. No, it won't last.
Welcome to Men Talk. I'm your host, Dakota, and I'm thrilled to have you join me on this journey. Here at Men Talk, we dive deep into the often overlooked world of men's mental health, exploring topics that matter to you. From personal stories to insightful interviews, we'll cover everything from anxiety, depression, and PTSD. My mission, to break the stigma and promote mental wellness one conversation at a time. Let's embark on this journey together and start making a difference.
I've got a brain that wants me dead. I've got a woman that wants me in bed, and I'm somewhere in between, trying not to blow my brains out.
All right, guys, we are back after the show of all the other podcasts, and this is probably going to be even worse. This is another one that I really dreaded talking about, and honestly, this one's different because I've been alone in the room this entire time, and now my wife is kind of like sitting in on me, so it's kind of a lot different. But look, man, I may or may not cry, okay? Because I don't know. Probably by the time I tell this story and talk about this in general, is you guys are probably going to assume that I'm probably a heartless piece of crap, right? Because of, I guess, the way everything kind of went and the way that I handled a lot of this grief is completely different. But, you know, fast forward after the wreck, after college, moving back home, finding my own place and everything, I met the love of my life. You know, it's a funny story, so talking about it, I guess, you know, we laugh back and forth about it and everything. So me and my wife have the same exact name, if you know who I am. My name's Dakota. Her name's Dakota. We have the same exact last name because we are now married, so it's even funnier, but very stressful, I guess you would say. Funny, stressful, whatever. Well, I met her. I've known her since high school, but we never really talked at all. And it's kind of funny because, you know, her mom, I got a job at U.S. Sailor. So when I moved back home and got the house in Dobson and everything, I got a job at U.S. Sailor selling cell phones over near Sweet Frog in Mount Airy. And her mom actually came in and bought a phone from me. And she came in and got a phone from me and everything. She's like, yeah, my daughter's been looking for a phone. She's going to come in and get one too. So she's supposed to come in and see me, right? Well, at the time, my best friend was Austin, and I wasn't in work. Well, Dakota was supposed to come in and see me, and in reality, she didn't. She didn't come in and see me at all. She came in one day because she needed the phone right then, right now, because that's her mentality, her attitude. She couldn't wait to order one. Or wait until I got there. So she came in, she ordered a phone, she bought it from Austin, and I found out the next day, well, something happened. I guess she had to come back in, or she came in and got a job application or something. I can't remember what all happened. Well, we ended up, our boss at the time, we were looking to hire somebody. I was assistant manager, and he was the manager. And then she came in and put an application in with the manager, and then we ended up going for like a ride one night or something like that, and then like hanging out. I had a girlfriend at the time. She wasn't with nobody, and it wasn't a girlfriend, but you know what it was. I don't know what it was. I guess it was a flame. I don't know. Well, anyway, I had split up from that person that I was with, and she had came back in, got her application, done all of that good stuff. Well, I looked at my buddy Austin, and I told him, I said, you know, I'm going to marry that girl one day. And I was just, you know, I wasn't joking, but I was joking at the same time because, like, who the hell knew if this girl would even talk to me, right? Well, let me tell you, she didn't want to talk to me. It was pretty rough. Like, it took me like 15,000 times just to get her to go on a date with me, right? So it's kind of very funny. Well, I asked my mom, I went home one day, and I said, how funny would it be if I married a girl that had the same name as me? And my mom called me dumb. She was like, no, you're not going to do that. No, there's no way. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to. Well, fast forward some. We had a date. Finally got her to go on a date with me. We started dating. And then really, I don't know. I guess we just, clicked really. I guess everything kind of aligned at that point. And we were living in Dobson. She was living she was living in Mount Airy, and then she ended up moving out of Mount Airy to like a friend of hers. And so she moved back. She moved in with me instead. She was going back and forth to work and everything, and like she didn't really move in with me at first because like she would pack a duffel bag all the time, and would like pack that thing full and then get dressed, go to work, and carry that same duffel bag everywhere she went. So then one day I just looked at her and said, "Why don't you just move in?" And so she did, and we stayed together for a little while, and everything was just like I said, just aligning right. And so me and her had tried to have a kid for the longest time. For some odd reason, we both wanted a kid. We thought that would help us in life grow up and be adults. And, it just wasn't happening. It did not happen for the longest time. And so we kept trying. It wouldn't work. Well, we just decided, hey, you know what? Screw it. We're just going to buy a house. So we bought a house where we live at now, and we pulled up here. This is the house that she said she wanted to raise her kids at and everything. So the moment that we moved in, probably a couple months after we moved in, if that really, right, we find out she's pregnant with our baby boy, Emmitt. And, we are the most excited. We stopped all projects on the house. We didn't do nothing to the house besides probably paint. I feel like that's all we did. We didn't do anything major, nothing. Well, we go through this entire pregnancy, and as excited as we could be, ready to have our son. And I always told her that my first boy would be named Emmitt, after Emmitt Smith from the Cowboys, because I'm a Cowboys fan. There you go. So we decided on that, and everything was going great. I felt like we were building our life together. We bought a house. We were ready to have a family. We were settling down. Everything was going perfect. That's how it was going, and it was we didn't think nothing else of it. That's how everything was going to be. So during her baby shower, during the baby shower that her friend actually, we actually planned and everything, and I had planned this out. So I went with her sister. Everywhere shopping for a ring. That's what I wanted. I wanted the ring. I went everywhere I could. Finally found the place that I wanted to, and we were all out to eat. So her and her sister-in-law were going somewhere, and me and her sister was shopping for a ring, and she didn't know what the heck we were doing. At this time, she didn't really care because I was with her sister, I guess. And so at this time, we were shopping. I finally found the ring I wanted. And we were eating that night, and I had the ring in my pocket. And I was if you know me, I am very impatient. I'm a very impatient person. And so, I do not like surprises. I do not like to surprise people, I guess, in general. And I was just ready to propose. I was ready to propose that night and get it over with. But, I started thinking, I was like, there's no way I could do this. Well, so we had our baby shower, and I planned this out, got a amazing onesie that says, "Mommy, will you marry my daddy?" My wife tackled me, and I thought she was going to say no, but it was kind of funny. She just dove on the ground. I took a knee, was asking her to marry me, and you got to watch the video. I might put a little video clip of this or something, so that way you can kind of see it. But she almost tackled me, back in my college days, dude. It gave me flashbacks, and it was I don't know, it was the most amazing thing ever. So I had proposed, ready to get married, and settle down. After that, the day that I actually proposed, we ended up in the hospital with a pre-labor thing. She started contracting really bad or something, and they had to give her a shot to slow down her contractions because it was too early. So we ended up going down to the hospital the day of our our baby shower. We traveled down, go to the hospital, get the shot, stay down there almost all night. It felt like probably was all night. Didn't get home until later on. Everything was going great. Slowed contractions down. So, fast forward a little bit. It's time to have the baby. We go to the hospital, and it's this kid would not come out. Let me tell you, we stayed in the hospital for forever. She was in labor for 5,000 hours or something insane. But we finally got to the point where she's having the baby. Most amazing thing that I've ever witnessed. I got to see my firstborn being born. First time, I got to cut an umbilical cord. First time I got to hold my son. And, at that moment, like life froze. Like everything froze over. Like everything that had happened before was kind of like, whoa, wait a minute, this is what it's like. So this took a lot of those bad memories and everything away, like that I was already having, because at this time, I was like, man, I'm going to be a father. I have a house. I'm building an amazing life. I'm ready. And so he was born on the 26th of February of 2019, and everything was going great. The only thing that we were like kind of really worried about is that like she had tried to breastfeed, and he did not want to latch. He did not want to feed in the hospital. So we tried. We did the bottle. We switched over to that, whatever. And people told us it was normal. It was normal. Everything was normal that he was doing. Okay, we're fine. Yep. So we get home from the hospital. I think we're there like 2 or 3 days, if I'm not mistaken. And we go. As soon as we get home, we go to see his doctor, and she tells us that he's like a little jaundice and everything, and then everything was normal. So we're living at home, everything was fine. That we thought. Well, something, I don't know really what had happened. Like I don't know if it was something that he was doing. It's like his lips were. I don't know. I really don't remember a lot of it. So it's kind of a struggle, I guess you would say, because it's a lot that happened. But everything that did happen, I know that the things that I know that happened, and that I can really recall, is that when we went to his doctor's office for the last time, they weighed him. Everything was great. And we get to the doctor, we're talking to her, and she's looking over him, and then it's like nothing's good. Nothing's great. It was, you need to get him to the hospital now. And so sorry guys, my wife's in here. I'm going to laugh. I'm crying because I'm trying not to cry, but I know I'm going to cry. But we're rushing to the hospital. And we get into the emergency room, and they're checking him over, and they hook him up and stuff, and like for the pre-checkup or whatever. And we're in the hospital. Everything's okay. Nothing's too worrisome as of right now. And we take him back to the not the emergency. It's the children's hospital, Brenner's or whatever. And we take him back to the room. And as soon as they sit him on the bed, they hook him up to an oxygen monitor and everything. And it's like his oxygen went from like 100. I really didn't think I was going to cry, guys. I did not think I was going to. But his oxygen levels went from like 100 down to like 20% or something. It was something outrageous. It was insane. I really don't know the numbers, but I know it went from like 100 to something insane. And the moment that happened, it's like they're pulling us out of the room. Doctors go in and they bombard in there. Like if you know Brenner's and you know how they are, I guess it's like a student training hospital or whatever. And not only was his doctor in there, but 2 other doctors, and then another doctor and another doctor and another doctor. And it wasn't nurses. And like they poked and prodded him so many times that they couldn't get a IV in him or anything. And like all these doctors were in there, and it was insane. because I'm pretty sure he had like 12 doctors in this room. And the room is not big. Like, it's not big at all. And at this time, like, they're rushing in, and then all of a sudden, hey, we have to get him to NICU. Like, everything was after that. We didn't go to a hospital. We didn't go to a hospital room. We didn't do none of that. It was like straight to NICU. I'm almost positive I'm right on that. PICU. Not NICU, PICU, sorry. My wife corrected me, guys. And me and her's walking behind the bed, and as the bed is being walked, you know, I talked about before the wreck and everything, and I was already in Brenner's. I was in Brenner's years prior to this. Years and years ago, before me and Dakota ever met each other, had a baby. You know, that was 2014. You know, this is 2019. So what is that, like? I don't know how many years that is. 5 years, right? So it's 5 years difference. And so it's like everything hit me all at one time. Like, it hit me like a ton of bricks, because they brought back every memory that had ever happened to me prior, those 5 years prior. And it just wasn't. Sorry, guys, product placement. Sorry, I'm trying to make myself laugh. But it had brought back every bad memory that had ever happened to me prior, 5 years prior, right? So, you know, the wreck happened. I'm in that same exact hospital. My brother's fighting for his life. He's dying. He's dead. He's died already 3 times. So it's brought back every single memory of that. And then not only am I experiencing this memory, now my firstborn son, that, you know, nothing was going wrong. Everything was perfect. Everything was amazing, has just collapsed. So, you know, now it's like, man, not only have you dealt with, you know, a disabled mother, you know, being poor, being, leaving your family, you know, and everything else that has hit you, a car crash, losing, you know, Taylor and Megan, losing family, losing friends, not only has all of this happened, it's like everything is all now just hit me all at one time, like a ton of bricks. It like hit me in the chest so hard that it was just, I don't know, it was impossible to really even think about or talk about. And man, you know, I talked about how Tim was around last episode, and how like I probably would have never been around if it wasn't for him after the wreck, and, you know, vice versa or whatever, right? And I'm gonna tell you, man, I probably would have never been around. I know I would not be around to this day if it wasn't for my wife. She's a a bad one. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna bring her on at the end of this series to start off with bringing someone on, so you can kind of hear her side of it and see us both cry together. I'll just go ahead and forewarn you, she's an ugly crier. I'm a lot prettier when I cry. But I don't know. Everything had happened that I know that like I told you, I would not be here if it wasn't for her. She was the strong one, not me. Like, not me. Like, everything that I've been through, you know, I thought, hey, you know, I've been through a lot of stuff. I can handle a lot of this stuff. But I'm gonna tell you, nothing can prepare you for ever losing a kid. Nothing. And at this moment, it was kind of crazy, because like I can sit here and tell you nothing can prepare you for that, and nothing can physically. I feel like anything in this world could ever prepare you for that. Nothing that I had ever been through has prepared me for this in my entire life. But I'm gonna tell you, just all of that happening to me, and when it did happen to me, and realizing the fact that, hey, man, I might lose my child. Not only when I told you every memory that came back to me, it was constantly, I was seeing Marianne and Tim and Nolan. I'm probably not going to post this video, guys. But that's all I really thought about. And it's not that I wasn't thinking about my son. It was the fact of the moment that I was thinking that, man, I now know what I did to somebody. Oh, man, this is hard, guys. This is very hard. This is a hard one. Oh, but look, I'll do a little ASMR for you guys. But that is all I could think about. Is like, I might lose it again, guys, because it's hard. But that's all I could think about, is that, my kid's fighting for his life. I took 2 lives. And look, I do not put blame on anyone. I do not put blame on God. And I'll tell you, I had a lot of questions about it. A lot. I questioned a lot of everything that happened, and like, why was it me? Why was it us? Like, everything I've been through, why was it my family? But then, that's when I started thinking back, like I told you, is like, I took 2 lives. So now I'm losing one of mine. Right? Oh, guys. Look. And I'm losing one of mine, right? So I'm in the middle of this battle in my own head. While not only the battle is in my head, that what I'm thinking about and like what I'm going through, but I have my wife who is going through the same exact thing, but in a different standpoint, right? That's why she's going to be on this, and so we can talk about it. And there's probably going to be a couple episodes where we talk about it, because it's going to be so long of a conversation, right? But like, we were fighting our own demons inside of our head. And like, the statistics for like married couples to stay together is insane. That like when they actually stay together and split up when something traumatic happens, right? And I'm gonna tell you, I don't know how. I really don't know how the hell me and her stay together. I don't know what it was, and it wasn't that we fought. It wasn't nothing. I have no idea what brought us together in this time that made us even stronger than what we were. Right? Because like, I did not want to be in a relationship. I just want to tell you guys that. I did not want to be with someone. I did not want to settle down until later on. My wife looked at me in the eyes before we were even married. We were dating. We were in a pool at my friend's house. We were at Charlotte Phillips' house. We were at a pool, and she was screaming at me like, hey, you need to get your crap together, and you're going to marry me. Right? And she's bawling her eyes out. And, at this time I was doing whatever I wanted to. And, that's when something flashed. And so like, the statistics, to really think about it, me and her haven't even been together a year, right? Like, we really haven't even been together. I mean, we've been together a while, but like, we haven't been together so long that it's like, oh, hey man, this happens to someone traumatically. Like, hey, they're gonna be okay. They're gonna survive this. Like, I guarantee you, like 95% of our community or anybody that knew us or knew the story automatically assumed, hey, they're gonna split up. They're not going to last. They're going to need someone else to be able to step up and help them. And at that time, I don't know if that's what was going through her head or my head, because I know a lot of stuff was going through my head. But I'll tell you that I honestly never thought about leaving this woman ever at the time that had ever happened. Like, when us leaving like when us losing our son or fighting when he was fighting his battle, there was nothing in my mind that thought, hey, I just can't do this. I can't be away from. I have to be away from you. There was nothing in my mind that. Now I'm gonna tell you, we grieve completely different, 100% different from one another. But to go back to the story, so we're in the hospital. Everything is not so great. We've made it to PICU. We're in there. You know, we're being told that he is fighting. He is fighting everything. That he is a fighter. He is a Goss, and he was fighting 100% of everything that was happening to him. And he was. I will 100% truly say that he was. And me and my wife both knew that. And we never left his side ever. And then one night we wanted to go get a shower. We wanted to go get a shower. He was doing great. Everything was going great. And we get a phone call. We're in the shower. Like, we get out. We get a phone call. And at this time, sorry guys, me and my wife were not, like, we was not married. We were not married before we had Emmitt. I was engaged to Dakota. And I'll call her my wife because she is my wife, and she'll always be my wife now. Ain't that right? Yes. But we were at the Ronald McDonald's house at this time. So we left, got in the shower, went and freshened up and everything, and then to grab us something to eat. And then we were coming right back, right, to spend more time with our kid. Well, in this time frame that we're gone, which is not long at all. I mean, really, it is not long. I mean, I would probably say, 30 minutes to an hour, if that, okay? So in that time frame that we're gone, we get a phone call from his nurse that says, hey, it's not going so good. You need to get here. And so we're rushing. Like, we're right across the road. Like, we're running to the damn hospital. Like, obviously we wasn't driving, because if you know where Brenner's is, you know where the hospital is, like the Brenner and Ronald McDonald house is, then you know that there was no point. So me and her walked there. So like, we were running. Like, I'm gonna tell you, that's fast as I've ever seen her run. That's fast as I've ever seen myself run. But we were running to the hospital to see what's going on. And like, as soon as we stepped foot in that hospital, and like, we're in PICU, and there, it's like, hey, he's not doing so good. We're going to have to pump blood. We're going to have to do surgery, yada, yada. So his doctor at the time, I cannot remember her name. Dr. Zeller. That is her name. There you go. Thank you, Dakota. She remembers, not me, guys. But his doctor, so Dr. Zeller came in after we had already had our talk and everything. He was fighting it. We had discussions with the infectious disease doctors. Everything was going on. He's good. He's fighting everything. Okay, great. We're rushing to the hospital. We get to PICU. We talk to the nurses. Nothing's going good. He has to have an emergency surgery. They bring in Dr. Zeller. Dr. Zeller starts doing a surgery. And so they start the surgery. They're trying to get I can't remember what it was, but it was something to pump blood to him, like while they're in the middle of doing surgery and stuff, like while they're there at PICU, because they did the surgery in PICU. And so they're doing the surgery, and they're trying to get a central line or whatever it is to try to pump blood to him. And they got one on him, but everything kept blowing. Like, everything was going wrong. Anything that you could think of that was going wrong was happening to us at this time. Everything was happening to my son on the table and happening to me and my wife while we were standing there watching all this happen. And like, we were there with them. And so they're doing everything they can. They can't get another line in, and they're having to pump as much blood as possible. Well, then all of a sudden he flatlines. And they're doing CPR. They're trying to pump more blood. They're trying to get as much as they can. And it just gets to the point to, like, they're giving him CPR. I'm going to say beating on his chest, but they're not really hitting him or nothing like that. They're doing exactly what they were supposed to do. But like, from my eyes, this is what I'm seeing. Okay, guys. So nothing on Dr. Zeller, no one like that, because they did 100% what they should have been doing, and they tried to help my son and help us as much as possible, because they were great. But I just want you to know, like, the way I talk is, I'm going to say beating on his chest or whatever. Well, like, they're just beating on his chest, and like, I'm holding my wife, we're bawling our eyes out, and everything's going on and it's still happening. And like, I was not going to give up. Like, in my mind, like, I could not do it. Like, I could not tell them to stop. Like, I was just like, keep going, keep going. Like, if you get tired, you keep going. If you get tired, you keep going. Let's go. I will hop in. We'll do whatever the hell we got to. I want my son back. And I wasn't going to. I couldn't say no. And that is the hard part of me. That's the selfishness in me that I told you about before. Like when I told you I'm an asshole and I'm just selfish. And I did not want to let my son go. I did not want to lose him. I didn't. And this is what I tell you, like, my wife she's just I don't know what she is. She's a rock. I don't know. She's a very emotional person, but she was so strong in these times that it was just insane. Like, she's like, hey, we have to, Dakota, we have to stop. And so we made the decision to stop. And on the 9th of March, my son passed away. And that's when I told you that, like, all those memories came back. And at that moment, I'm seeing Tim and Marianne and Nolan. I see my wife. I see my child who's laying on the bed, who's now passed away. And I'm seeing all of this in my eyes and like in my mind. And I'm like, man, I failed. I failed out a lot. Not only did I cause something that lost Taylor and Megan's life, and almost my brother. My brother didn't lose his life, but he lost a lot, right? And like, to see what he's had to go through, So not only did I fail those three, and Tim and Marianne and Nolan and everybody else and their friends and family, it was like, whoa. Now I felt my wife. And don't get me wrong, I know it was nothing me and her could do or nothing we could stop or prevent. But at the same time, like they said that he passed away, and what he was diagnosed with, like what had caused him to go to the hospital, he didn't pass away from. So all of these people that had, like, after all of this had happened, I'm going to explain that here in a minute, but after everything that happened later on in life, like after this after effect, didn't cause my son to pass away. He contracted MRSA in the hospital. How fucked is that, right? Man. My son's fighting his diagnosis and everything that's going on with him, and now he's and he passes away from something that wasn't even on the table originally. And you can't blame nobody because it's a hospital. That it happens when he's got probes and needles and everything in him, and obviously it's bound and determined to happen. And so he was so little that he couldn't fight it. And man, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be, guys. But he passed away from something that he shouldn't have even had to deal with. And man, that was so hard. And then after all of this, we're in the hospital. My family's there, her family's there. Caleb Thomas that came down, and his wife, Casey. And we're all down there. They're all there. We we move forward, hey, what are we going to do, Dakota? Like, where are we going to be at? Because like we're in a hospital, we're losing our kid. Like, man, we just bought a house, so we're going to lose our house. And like everything was going through our mind, everything. Like we didn't know anything, but like, here's what I tell you. So before, when I told you that like growing up, this community had done nothing but help me and my family, and help me and everyone else. And I'm gonna tell you, the community that we live in had helped us so much, and her friends and my friends and whoever else was there had helped us so much and was there for us. It made life so much more, not easy, because it was not easy, but livable. Like it made us to where like, hey, we could, we're okay, we can do this. We're going to be okay. So the community had helped us so much, and I want to thank everybody, because you guys helped us. You helped me and my wife. You helped my family and her family, and you helped all of us that you could, and helped us be able to live and be okay. And I just want to say thank you to that. But so after all of this had happened, now you're going through a different stage. Now you're going through, hey, you're in a hospital. Well, you just had a baby. And if you know, the 26th through the 9th of like February 26th to March 9th is 11 days. Okay. Not a long time. We just bought a house, just found out we were pregnant, carried the baby. Everything was going great. Had our baby. 11 days later, our baby's now dead. Right? Now what the hell do you do? I mean, really, what do you do? And so me and her rushed from like, man, we didn't know where we were going to be at, how we were going to do anything. And then we finally figured out, okay, hey, we have to figure out what are we going to choose to do with our kid. And, I decided like from the get-go that I could not bury my son. And I think the reason why I didn't want to bury my son is because I didn't want him stuck in the same place that he's in the same place forever. Right. And so me and my wife, we decided to have him cremated. And you can judge me for that later. You can do whatever shit or whatever you want to for later. But I made that decision. Me and her both made that decision. And the reason why we did this is because, later on, we got a bear. And this bear goes with me everywhere. Me and my wife everywhere. Anywhere we go that's big. We go to Florida. We go on family vacations. We traveled across the U.S. with him. Everywhere that we have ever went that was been big or family vacations or anything, we have always taken him, and now our kids take him. Take Emmitt Bear. And that is why. And he is in the house with me. So his ashes are here with us. They sit on my fireplace, my mantle, every day. And that's what I see every day, because I know that he's still here with us, right? And I think the reason why I wanted that is because if me and my wife at the time, we didn't know what we were going to do, if we were going to stay here or what was going to happen. So like we were like, hey, we don't know if we're going to move. We don't know if we're going to be able to stay in this house, because like our firstborn was born here, and I had already moved to a house from where me and Taylor were together. So I 100% was ready to just leave it, right? And that's how I felt about everything. Now my wife, 100% completely different. That's what I'm going to tell you. That's where we grieve, 100% different. And I was ready to go. I was ready to take my son and go. And, I couldn't do that because I have so many friends, family, the community, everyone here that helped us and was here for us. So, that's what we chose to do. And he's still here with us, and he will stay here with us. And anywhere we ever go, he'll go with us. Right? Emmitt Bear and him. Okay? So that's my decision. That's why I did it. And so after all this happened, we're good to go. Me and her decide to move our wedding along. We wanted to get married. We wanted to have our wedding so that way we can try to cope. Because I'm going to tell you, we grieved differently. And I've told this 6 other times. I'm probably going to repeat myself even more, but we grieved completely differently. I did not want to see my son's stuff. I did not want to be around my son's stuff. We had his bedroom, his nursery, his crib, his blankets, his pillows, his passies, everything that you could possibly imagine was in this house I wanted to get rid of. And that's my way of grief. I did not want to see it. I did not want to look at it. I wanted to be done with it. Like I said, I wanted to move houses. I wanted to be done with it. But my wife was completely different, right? So we moved everything and anything into his nursery. It stayed in his nursery. And man, I'm going to tell you, we set up an area for her to go in and her to sit because that's what she wanted and not me. I did not want that. She wanted that, right? So we set this place up. We set his room up to where she could go in there and she could be with her kid and the child that she lost as well. And like I said, that's how we grieve differently. And then, man, it's like not only did we just lose our kid, now we're going through so much ridicule on Facebook, social media, everything, because I guess, everything got around. And people were just bashing us for every little thing. Everything you could possibly think of, they were bashing us for it. Like, oh, you're a horrible parent. Oh, you killed your kid. Oh, you did this. Oh, you did this wrong, and everything else. And I'm gonna tell you, we did not let nothing. We didn't let people touch our kid. We didn't let people hold our kid. We did not do that. Like we were young, but we wasn't stupid, right? And man, we heard everything. And I'll tell you the difference in being a man and being my wife and me experiencing this firsthand and her experiencing it was completely different. Because it wasn't and how I feel about this is probably gonna come out rude and wrong, and I hate that because I don't want to seem like that. But I guess this is just reality of it, right? So when I lost my son, there was people who would ask how I was doing and ask how you were doing, or me, like how I was personally doing. But I'm gonna tell you, it wasn't about me. 95% of the people who talked to me was, how's Dakota doing? And I'm glad that they asked that because, that shows that they care and stuff. But this is the stigma that I was telling you about that, I kind of that I want to go over is I have another friend who has lost a kid. And me and him have been friends for a while. And it's the same concept that not many people think to ask the man how they're doing. Not many people care. Right? I mean, and they may care, but they may the assumption and the stigma to all of this is that a man is supposed to be the provider. The man is supposed to not cry. The man is supposed to be the strong one in the relationship. Man is not supposed to do what I'm doing right now and talk about their emotions. And this is why I'm doing this, right? But this is what happened, and so every person, you see is, hey man, how's Dakota doing? Man, how's your wife doing? How is Dakota doing? And that's the question that you keep getting, and it's like, whoa, dude. I mean, how am I doing? Not good at all. And there's countless nights that my wife and I have cried our eyes out. We still cry. It's so weird because like now I can talk about this, and I thought me and her were just talking about this earlier because she knew I was going to record this because she's in here and everything too. But I'd sit here and talk about it, and I was like, man, we talk about this. I've talked about this to people, and I don't really cry a lot. I don't really show a lot of emotions when it comes to this because like I've been so strong about it already, and everything that's already happened to me. I've got all my crying out. Well, obviously you guys see it. That's not the case, and but that's the problem is that everybody thinks that I'm okay. And that the man is supposed to be okay, and that they're not supposed to feel nothing. They're supposed to just be there for my wife. And like I said, me and her has cried. We have cried our eyes out. We still cry our eyes out. It is the most random thing now. It will happen on spurts. Some days, like we'll wake up and we're like, oh man, we're just gonna cry. Like we'll just sit here and cry, or we'll talk about it. And like me and her both can talk about everything and not cry now. But it's so different because we lost our child. And now we're trying to move forward, just the same thing as before with the wreck, and going to college, and you try to resume normal life, right? And now I know, I can relate to how Tim and Marianne and Nolan felt, because, at that time, I was still a kid. I didn't have a job. I didn't have to go back to work. I had to go back to school, right? Now I'm in this, after all of this happened, and now as everybody's asking me, hey, how's Dakota doing? How's Dakota doing? Now you're going back into the workplace where it's getting even, like, where it's still the same thing. Hey, how's Dakota doing? How's your wife doing? Yada, yada. And that's where I can kind of relate now, is because now going back to work and trying to resume normal life was like, it felt nearly impossible for me and Dakota. And at the time, me and Dakota both worked for Carport Central. And to tell you about, look, I have nothing but good things to say about them. I no longer work for Carport Central, of course, right? So that's not the case, but I have nothing bad to say about them at all. But I'll tell you, this is like an ad for Albert, I guess. But the man that I worked for, his name is Albert, and him and his wife told us to, take off as much time as possible. And not many people know this, and this is, and I don't know if I should even share it. I don't know, but me and Dakota wasn't going back to work. We wasn't going to resume life for a little while. We were going to stay at home, and we were going to figure it out. We were going to figure out what we needed to do and how we were going to do it, just a different way. And the guy we worked with, the owner that we worked for, Albert, we talked to him, and he set up a position that didn't even exist in his company at the time that he wanted to create. And he allowed me and my wife to travel. And and we traveled, we did marketing, we did all of that good stuff, and he allowed for us to do that. And that helped so much on my standpoint. I don't know if it helped for her. I can't speak for her, because you'll hear her story later, but I don't know. I know it helped me. And this is crazy because me and her did not expect to have a kid after Emmitt was born and everything had happened. But then later on, before we even went back to work, we got blessed with our oldest living son, Everett. And as we're traveling for work, we're traveling and everything. And it was the funniest thing because, like, we worked with a guy. His name's Paul. And, like, we traveled we traveled across, like, the U.S. So, like, we traveled from here to Texas, here to California, yada. And we drove all of this, right? So we drove every bit of it. And it's funny because, like, now thinking about it, like, how, and this is why I say it helped me, is because it got us out of Mount Airy. He got me away from those bad memories. And as we were doing that, it was like my mind was, I guess, at ease to a point to where, hey, now we're about to have another kid. And so as we're thinking, like, as all this is happening, it's even more scarier now, because, like, we just lost our son. We just lost a kid. We just found out we're pregnant with our second son. And we're like, what the hell do we do? So as we're traveling and everything, we're traveling, we're going to, like, national parks, because Paul is, like, a national park freak, right? So he loves national parks. So we're going to see all these things. My wife's, like, 7.5, 8 months pregnant or something like that. And, like, we're hiking, like, we didn't hike, but, like, well, I guess we did hike it, right? So, like, we went and seen, like, the Grand Canyon, the North, the South Rim. Like, we went through all of that, and then, like, we're hiking through Zion, if you've ever been there, and she's about to pop. It's the funniest thing. It's I don't know how far long she was, because they cut you off at a certain time where you're able to fly back on a plane. And I think it's like 34 weeks or 32 weeks or something like that. When you're 30 weeks, maybe, I don't know. But you're not where you're not allowed to fly on a plane anymore or something, right? Well, so we're hiking through this canyon, Zion, if you've ever seen it or whatever, look it up. And it has, like, water through it, and you're hiking through these canyons, and she's pregnant as could be. And so she's walking through here. She's had the best pregnancy after Emmitt about killed her, because, like, she was sick to death when she had him. And Everett was completely polar opposite. And so we're hiking all of this. We go everywhere. We go to San Diego, and then we stay down there, and then we fly back home. We get back home. we have our kid. We have Everett. And when we get home, that's when it got scary. That's when it got scary for both of us because she was about to pop. We're not much further along. We're working a little bit longer. And then wham, we have a baby. We're back in the hospital. We're there. So we were the hospital's great. The doctors were great with us in Dakota. And so we're staying in the hospital, and typically you stay in the hospital for like 2-3 days. We were there for like a week, right? Because like they were making sure that nothing was wrong with him before we brought him home. So like and then when we get home, we go straight to another doctor's appointment with his doctor now. We see her, and that's Gloria. So we go see her. When we get back, she sends us home. Hey, everything's looking great. And I'm gonna tell you, that is right when COVID happened. And like we're freaking out. So like not only has the world done whatever it's doing, we're having a baby during COVID. And so we're not, no one's around us. No one stepped foot in our house or around our family and our son for months. And I mean, for a long time. Like nobody held him, nobody touched him. They only seen him on FaceTime and video, right? Like that's it. That's all they seen him. And then finally, my aunt, she came over and she seen him through a glass door. She came over and seen him outside the screen door, would not come in. And all of this happened. And let me tell you, that is the hardest thing ever. And I thought everything was, hey man, after everything that happened, we lost our son, everything traumatic, we're good, we're okay. Now you're worried to death that you're going to lose your second son, right? So now, at that aspect of having another son after losing your first son or first kid, and I should say kid because I know other people have lost girls and boys, so having your second kid after losing a first or whatever it may be, if you lost your second or third and you have one, whatever, right? But after having another kid, I thought, man, this is going to be all right. No, hell no. That was the hardest thing in the world by any means. And it wasn't having the kid. It wasn't him being around. It was the fact that my son looked like Emmitt. Looks just like him. And having him and holding him, and the same problem that we have to this day, and the same problem that I have every day, is that when I see both of my kids now, because I have Everett and Elliot, when I see both of my kids now, I miss Emmitt. A piece of me is gone, right? So, because he was my firstborn, he was ours, right? So, I mean, he's just because you have more kids, and like me and her's been told it as, oh, you're young, you'll have more kids. Oh, it's okay, you'll have more kids. Oh, hey, it's all right. You lost one. Hey, you'll have plenty more, right? So that's what people say. That's the older generation. We've heard it from everybody. And it doesn't work like that. I'm gonna tell you, it does not even come close to working like that. Because I'm gonna tell you, I seen my son, I held my son, and I miss him every day. Because I would have 3 beautiful baby boys here right now, right? And you already know from the beginning that I'd have a little girl too. But I would have him here with me and his brothers growing up. And that's the hardest thing too, because like we have the little pictures that we do have, like we don't have nothing from our kids, nothing. And so the little pictures that we do have, and like the Emmitt Bear and the things that we carry around in his ashes sitting on the mantle, like our sons know who he is. They know that their big brother is in heaven. And that's even harder. Like you wouldn't assume, like you would think, oh man, they understand it. No, it's not. It's not easy. It's not easy at all, because like you'll have your oldest who comes up to you and he just says he misses his brother. And like he didn't even know him. He wasn't around. And I think it's that fact that like he knows that he's supposed to have his brother here, because like we know, like we want him here too, right? So, and I think that's like the hardest thing is, watching my 4-year-old and my 2-year-old grow up. and I don't get to watch it with my other one, right? So, yeah, that's the hard part. That is the hard thing, and yeah, but that is the hardest thing that I will go, and I'm glad I took a break because like I'm bawling my eyes out, dude, and it's not good. It's not good. Me and my wife are not good. We're sitting here talking about it, and we're just I don't know. We're a mess already. But look, it is not easy at all. It's not easy when someone looks at you, and parents who have went through this, and parents who have lost a kid, and even if they were stillborn or you lost them while you're carrying them or whatever it may be that you've lost your child. Look, I mean, it doesn't get easier. It's not an easy thing because, like I told you, a part of me is missing and will always be missing. I miss my son. I miss my son every single day. And now that I have his older brother and his younger brother here with me, and I'm watching them grow up, that is the hardest thing. That is the hardest thing to experience because like they miss their brother. My wife misses her son. I miss my son. And man, it's astonishing that like how you see everything and how everything plays out. That now the older that the older that my oldest gets, he starts to realize it. He starts asking more and more questions. So not only do I have to have this conversation with me and my wife, or now with the podcast that I'm choosing to do, and with you guys, and let you experience like, hey man, this is my story and this is what I've dealt with. I now talk to my 4-year-old like he's a grown adult about it because like he wants to know. And he doesn't know all the details obviously, but he knows a lot of stuff, and he knows that his brother should be here, and he knows that his brother's missing, and you can tell that something's missing with him because like he carries around Emmitt Bear just as much as we do. Like when we go somewhere, it's not oh hey, we have to grab him, like hey, like we need to grab him. Our 4-year-old beats us to it, so it's like a race to say, hey, we're bringing Emmitt Bear with us. And I'm gonna tell you, if you've lost a kid and you're going through that, or you've lost anyone, I mean, honestly, anyone. I think it would really work for anyone, to be honest with you. I mean, really, I didn't think it would work. I thought it was probably the dumbest idea that we was ever told to do. And my wife will disagree with me too. Like she did not. I don't know if she thought the same thing that I did. I have no idea. Like I don't know what her thoughts were on the bear or nothing. But I'm gonna tell you, it's been completely different. Like I know it's not my son. I'm not crazy. Okay, guys. I know it's not my son, but when you have that here, when you've lost someone, or you've lost your kid, and you have that, and you can take him with you somewhere. We can take Emmitt Bear wherever we go. If we go on trips, we go on road trips, we ride in the vehicle with him, whatever. Like, and if we can go anywhere, and now my 4-year-old, my 2-year-old and they know him by Emmitt Bear. Man, I'm gonna tell you, it is a complete game changer. I thought it was the dumbest idea. I will be 100% honest with you because that's just how it was. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to talk about this. I didn't want to deal with this. I wanted to be shut out in my own little world. And my wife, and that's why I'll tell you that my wife is so strong and strong-willed and hard-headed that she did it. She wanted it, so we did it, right? And I'm glad that she was the way she was and the way that she grieved. I'm so glad that she did it the way she did and the way I did it the way I did, right? Because like I would have never got to experience that. I would have just shut out the world, and I would have never opened up, and I would never be doing this. I would not be doing this right now if she didn't tell me, hey, look, you need to do it too, right? I've thought about this for years. I've had this on my mind all year long, and I haven't done it, and now I'm finally just doing this, right? And she's been the one to stand behind me, and really not even behind me, in front of me, like holding my hand, leading me through this entire thing, right? So she's been my 100% support line. Okay, so she has been there and she has supported me through everything I've done. Okay, and that's how I'm gonna tell you guys that if you're married or if you're dating or whatever, and you can't get through it, you have to rely on that other person, and the way that you're going to do that is by communicating. And I did not want to do that. Me and her had arguments about it, and we had heated discussions, and we did not we did not see eye to eye on a lot of things, right? Like I said, I wanted to throw stuff away. She didn't. She wanted to have stuff. I didn't want it. Okay, so I didn't want to talk about my feelings. She wanted to talk about it. She wanted to cry in the shower with me and like us talk and lay in bed, and she wanted to cry. I did not want to do that. But, and I'm so glad that we did. I'm so glad that we leaned on each other, and instead of pushing each other away from one another, right? If that made any sense to you guys. Like, I'm so glad that we didn't butt heads, and we didn't decide to say, hey, you know what, we're done with each other, right? I'm so glad that we had Everett. I'm so glad that we have Elliot. And I will tell you that it is the hardest thing that we've done, having another kid and another kid after, because we have been so paranoid after everything that had happened. So like we basically shunned our entire family. We didn't allow nobody to come over, family, friends, or whatever, right? When we had both of our kids. And so we shunned them. We did not want nothing to do with them. And it wasn't that we didn't want nothing to do with them. We just didn't want them around our kid because of everything that we'd just been through, right? But I am so thankful that we had Everett when we did, because I feel like it changed our lives and it kept us here. Because I'm going to tell you, I mean, frankly, yes, my wife was my support line, and she has been my best friend, and she will always remain my best friend and the person that I talk to and go to when I have issues or have problems. But I'm going to tell you, the thoughts that I had in my head when the wreck happened, or when I went through foster care, or, having an alcoholic father, or anything that had ever happened to me, I thought those thoughts were bad. I'm going to tell you, there is nothing that I thought worse probably when I lost Emmitt, right? Because like my whole world came crashing down. Like, like I'm having, everything's on my chest, everything's weighted on me. So it is, it's a lot different. It's a lot different because I had everything on my chest. I had everything in my mind, that, hey, you failed everybody. You're a failure. You have done everything wrong from day one. And I'm so thankful that we had Everett. I'm so thankful that he is my rock. And I'm so thankful that his little brother is just as hard-headed as his mama is, right? I'm so blessed that I have them in my life. And man, it's made a world of difference. I'm so glad that the community helped us. I'm so glad that me and my wife were able to stick out, or how do I say that? I mean, like, work through everything and be able to fight everything alone and fight all the noise that we kept hearing. Because like I said, everybody was just, I mean, a lot of people, and it wasn't community-wise or anything like that. It was just people out there. Like, when you post something and people talk about your story and stuff like that, man, it is not good. Like, people are just, man, they were harsh. And like, there was nights that, my wife is crying her eyes out because like the stuff that people are saying to me and her is like, hey man, you killed your kids and all of that. I'm so thankful that me and her were able to just drown out that noise and hold each other's hand and make it through this. I'm so thankful that I married my best friend. And I'm just so thankful about every bit of that. And I'm going to go more in details about where I'm at now in life. Because, I really want you guys to know, and, obviously I'm telling you my entire story. So, I just want to tell you everything. But yeah, so look guys, if this is a hard story, and like I told you, it is detailed. This one's more detailed than the other ones. This one's a longer conversation. It's probably gonna be split up in different parts or whatever it has to be. But, look, if you've ever been in a situation to like where you've lost a kid, or you're struggling with your loved one, or your wife, or whoever it is, and you need help, guidance, or whatever, and you just want to listen to this, and if you want to be anonymous or whatever, I don't know, you have my email. My email is at mentalkpod@gmail.com. And if you have any issues or questions or anything else that you guys want to know, reach out to me. I'm going to be an open book. I'm going to talk way more. There's probably going to be a lot more details that come out later on, especially when my wife sits down and we're going to have another hour and a half, 2 hour conversation or whatever it may be, right? But I want you guys, me and her talked about this, and she wants the same thing. Is like, I want to tell my story first because that's why I'm starting this. And then, I want her to tell hers. She's talked about hers to plenty of people, but we want to come together and really show you, like, talk about like the differences. And that's where a lot more details are going to come out because she's very detail oriented. A lot of stuff that I don't remember, she remembers everything. Okay. Like literally everything. And so, I know that me and her are going to talk about it, and me and others are going to talk about it because I want to have other people who have either lost a child or going through something traumatic or whatever on here to hopefully share their story and, be able to ask them questions while we're talking and stuff. So that way you guys kind of, you may not connect with me, you may not connect with my wife, but you may connect with that next person I have on here, right? So you may connect with whoever it is, and that's what we want. That's what me and my wife want. That's what she wants for me. That's what I want for myself. And like I told you guys, I just want to be able to help someone stay another day, right? So, yeah, man, this is the end of this dreadful, dreadful podcast story on this one.